Right, so this is Cyberpunk Arasaka thermal katana, and first of all, obviously print out all the pieces so they are all ready to go. And then once they're all printed out, you want to fuse them together. So as you can see, I'm only printing I'm printing large segments. So this is on an Ender 5 Plus with a modified firmware. So it's around 366 millimeters by 355. So I only need 2 pieces for the whole sword, basically width-wise. So as you can see, it's massive. And then to fuse them, then you want to fuse them, of course. And you can see these 2 pieces are already fused. Now you can't really see any seam here at all on the front side, which is good, but you can on the inside. And that's my cat helping me. Thank you very much. So you can see it here. You can see the seam here, but it's very minimal anyway. But this is going on the inside anyway. So I haven't done the clear bits yet, which is the main sword. So let's do that now. And I start with super glue. So I get super glue, and I got a soldering iron here heating up. And my soldering iron is a Hakko. It's a very good one. I went through quite a lot of soldering irons. This is Hakko FX888D. So it's quite a pricey one. It's not one of the cheap ones, and they heat up to 480 degrees, so it's quite warm. Chi, can you please not? So, a bit of super glue, and I only put super glue on the bevel edge. You see that bevel? Oh, actually, I told a lie. So on the bevel and on this little lip. So let's get it out when it starts coming out. So remember, got the soldering iron heating up, very little, and the work area should be. You need to make sure that the work area is. You can damage it basically, because you can see like this. I got scuffs because that's where I work. Very small space. It's stupid. So anyway, I've got super glue on it, and then join them together. And then once you got super glue on them, you can just leave it with the super glue, but to me, I'd rather fuse it with soldering iron, melt them together. So make sure they're aligned correctly. See, they're wobbling at the moment. And on the flat surface, of course. So that feels about right. Get the soldering iron and just push it down. And then remember, the soldering iron is at 480 degrees, so mine's very hot. Not too much, just a very little bit, and just let it fuse. And you can just do the top surface of it as well, because there's got that area gets covered by this little thingy here. You can see that. Not this one, this middle. So I'll do the top as well, just to make sure it's fused a little bit better. And remember, all this stuff that I'm saying is just the way I do it, so it's not exactly how you should do it, and I don't exactly, I'm not telling you to hurt yourself or anything, because obviously this stuff's dangerous. I'm working with soldering iron stuff, so you do what you're doing at your own risk, basically. Anyway, so that's one done, and just leave it to dry. Get the super glue for the next one. This super glue, by the way, is nearly run out. So I'm just using the last bits, which take a while to come out. And then the side. You don't really need to use a lot here anyway, because we're fusing it with soldering iron anyway. Well, I am. Don't know if you are. Okay, yeah, so you see what I'm doing with my finger. I'm just feeling it to make sure it's super smooth, so that it's not at a wrong angle. And then soldering iron, squip, push it down to make them melt. Not too much, just need to do a very tiny bit. And then from the side as well, make sure not to touch the work area. And then from the top, just a little bit. Okay, the first one, see, is kind of super glued to my work area, so you need to be very careful. And then you can also solder just the top of the actual main blade as well. Just what you need to make sure you do is you need to wipe off all the plastic, any tin, any solder that you got on the soldering iron, and you need to do it very quickly, because if you hold it for too long, you're gonna burn it straight away. So I'll show you how I do it. Just a little dab, because I don't want to go deep, because it will instantly show burn marks. See, like that. Just to merge the seam, just to make it a bit stronger. See, I just got a little bit of black there, but it's not a very big deal. I mean, you can sand it off. See, there's a little bit of black there. Anyway, that's good. So now I'm gonna get the RGB pixel strip. Okay, so now that I got my RGB pixel strip, and this is a 5mm version, so it's very thin, and the model is called WS2812B. So keep in mind, this is this runs on 5 volts, but the battery that we're using is the Sony. Let me see if I got one here. No, I don't. Let's put away. Anyway, it's Sony NP-FW50, and they output around 8.3 volts, but that's okay because we are gonna use a buck converter to reduce the voltage to 5 volts. I'll get into the electronics a bit later. Anyway, so let's get one out. So which one's shorter? I want to empty one spool first. Anyway, I just use this one. So this whole strip actually has enough room for 42 of these LEDs, but the two at the beginning of the Katana, they would be inside the plastics, the white plastic area, so I don't want that area illuminated, so I went down from 42 to 40. So that's how many I'm going to use. So let's count them, and let's get pieces, not a piece, let's get some scissors. So here we go, scissors. So let's count 3, 6, 9, 10. 3, 6, 9, 10, 20, 23, 26, 29, 30, 33, 36, 39, 40, 40. So let's just do another count just to make sure before you cut. 3, 6, 9, 10, 13, 16, 19, 20, 23, 26, 29. Oh, for God's sake. 3, 6, 9, 10, 13, 16, 19, 20, 23, 26, 29, 30, 33, 36, 39, 40. Yep, 40. And then you want to cut it in the middle so that you got enough room for this strip and the next strip as well. And then tuck this strip in. Also, you do need to have a cat whilst doing this. It's very important. They provide lots of help. They make good holders. Like, let me see. I'm joking. Okay, so usually they come with double-sided tape. I want to get rid of that because I just need them to slide in, and yeah, it would just be annoying. So I get the double-sided strip off. Now you can leave a bit of residue on them, so just ignore that. Also, the cool thing about this project, I find this, like, once you actually know what you're doing, you can assemble this in a whole day, in just one day. Once it's all printed out, of course. Like, you can print it in one day and then assemble it in one day. So, okay, got one here. Now, here's something very important that you should do, because I'll tell you what happened. So, I had one finished, and I was practicing some XMA, some martial arts moves with it, and I dropped it, and just part of the LED strip just stopped working. So for example, and that was because of these areas here. You see these areas? That is the joints. So these strips get joined with solder. If it focuses, will it focus? I need the transition to be faster on the focus. Where is it? Responsive. There we go. Yeah, let's put it on responsive. There we go. Will that focus quicker? Well, yeah, anyway, you get my point. So you can see the soldering areas here, and I'll show you what I do. So my soldering iron is heating up. Get the excess off, because we were doing plastic, so you want to get the plastic off. And get some solder. Now look at this. So here we have the joint, and I'll show you what I do. So just make, there's a little bit of residue from the double-sided tape, so just fixate the strip in place so it doesn't move about, and then you want to heat up each area. I don't think there's not much needed for extra solder, because there's some solder on there, but so what happened was, when I dropped it, is some of these joints, they got loose and the connection was severed. So like, for example, this area will stop working if that area was connected to the circuit board. So you want to heat it up until it's hot, like very hot. I don't even know how to describe hot. Until it melts basically, and then hold it just a bit longer. Oh, soldering iron isn't on, my bad. Okay, now it's on, so give it a second to warm up. Okay, my soldering iron is heated up to 408 degrees. So this is stuck down, and I've got some extra solder here. Let's see, I'll zoom in a bit. Is that any better for you? Can I zoom in? Okay. Right, so we are here. I'll move it a little bit here. So here. Or should I use a different lens? But it won't focus at that distance, so fuck it. Okay, so I'm just holding it a little bit longer than you usually would, just to make sure it really merges. Slightly annoying thing about this, these strips, is they're very thin. Like, you can see how tiny the joints are, so you need to be quite precise. So okay, so that's one done, and we're going to do both sides as well, because once it's all assembled, it's quite hard to open it all up or disassemble it. It's like, once it's assembled, disassembled. And the other one, so this strip has two joints. You see they're all merged, as in like all three contact points, they're merged as one. You don't want that. They need to be all separate. Hope you're not seeing my head. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty hot. Okay, so that's one side done, and then as I mentioned, I do both sides, because you see, it doesn't hurt to do both sides whilst you're here at this point. Just make sure the connection doesn't get severed. Hold it down with something. At the moment I'm just going to use my phone because that's sufficient. Oh shit, see, it seeped through to the other end, so you want to check back and forth. So I was wondering, where did all that solder go? Let's see. See what I mean? This can be really finicky. quite annoying. This is why you should only do one contact point at once, because they're all going to heat up, and then give it a few seconds for it to cool down before I move on to the next one. Okay, so that one is definitely good. Wait a few seconds and then go to the next one. Check both sides again, because I can see the middle one, I think it's seeping through on the back. God, I bet you guys can barely see that. Let me just try to change it. While still filming. Okay, for these shots, I'll use the 50mm lens because I do think you need to see this. So, as I was, you know what, I'm going to move these out the way because they're getting in the way. But because this part is important. So, just this one joint, contact point, which was the middle one that didn't look like it was sufficiently soldered or tinned, whatever the correct term is. Okay, that looks good. I think, I don't know. How can I improve that? Because I think it feels like it's going under, because they are overlapping each other. Ugh, so annoying this. See, this is what happens. This is what I'm saying. This is why it's getting thick, because the solder is going under when you're doing it from the back side. See the bottom one, which is one that's close to me here, that's fine. Okay, that one looks good. Just the middle one that's giving me a bit of trouble. Oh my god, it's just going, it's a little gap there, I don't like it. There we go, perfect. As long as it's perfect on the other side as well. Which it isn't. Fucking hell. See, there's a little bump, because it overflowed from the back. It's going to be annoying getting it off. That's why, see? Fuck's sake. Oh, you know what I'm just going to do? I'm just going to like, start this again, look. Get it off, clean it up. So this way I'm not going to overlap it, because that's what was giving me the issue, the overlap. It was causing the solder to go under, which was very annoying. Okay, so now I'll do it so it doesn't overlap, as I just mentioned. I'll probably repeat myself like 20 times, don't I? So here we go. Just next to each other, don't overlap. Just make sure it's perfectly straight. Looks straight enough to me. Now it should be much easier. You can use like some nail scissors just to hold the piece down. Don't use the fingers because it gets really, really hot. And once one solder joint is down, should be fine. Okay, see, that's perfect. And now we'll do the other side, which shouldn't be as problematic as it was before. Hopefully. Okay, I don't want to rush, give it a few seconds just to cool down a bit. Perfect. And we'll check the other side again. We'll look at it closely first. Joint looks good, joint looks good. Okay, now go to the other one. So this one was overlapping as well, so I'm gonna redo this again because it's too difficult to, it's not too difficult, it just can be finicky. So just heat them all up and pull it apart, easy. Check the other side, check the other side. Okay. Line them up. Don't overlap it. So where are we? We are here. Yep, you should be able to see fine. Okay, yep, that looks good. Give it a few seconds and then flip it over. One joint's fine. Okay, I think I heated it up a bit too much because I think it lost its position. Yep. Okay, I have to go on the other side again. See? Ugh, making a bit of a mess, so. Use nail scissors maybe, just to neaten it up. Okay, these joints look fine. Give it time to cool down once you're doing the other side, remember that, because I didn't. Okay, see, one joint's fine, give it a second. Second joint's fine, give it a second. Okay, third joint's fine. And then check both sides again. Looks perfect. Now before we move on, what you could do is, just to check functionality and the terminals, not terminals, what's called connection points, is use a voltmeter if you got one. I do suggest getting one. These are very, very handy once you know how to use them. So turn it and put it into continuity mode, so which is this mode. See, that is continuity mode. Let me put the autofocus back on. Oh, is that camera too close a bit now? Too close now? 1 second, let me just see. Yep, you guys can see. So this is continuity mode, and I'll show you what it does. Let me just zoom out so I can see. So get both wires, and you see when you touch them, they make a sound. And I'm going to turn my soldering iron off for now, and I'll show you what I do here. So touch one connector. So you see they got labels on it. It says G and then G. So basically the very on your guy, you guys can see this is the bottom, this is the top. So this, touch the G and touch the next G, and you see you get a buzz. That means the connection is going all the way through. So touch the very first one to the very last one. Hold on, I'm gonna go in the wide angle. So as I was saying, so I've got the whole strip here. Let's zoom out a bit. So with the red wire on the ground on the one side and then ground on the other side. Okay, that's good. And then check the other pins as well, and you shouldn't get a signal. Now this is just to check that when you were soldering you didn't solder two strips together. And then go on to DI, which I believe is data. Okay, that's not good. We're not getting data for some reason. Oh, is that not supposed to send data? I actually don't know about this, because so this data maybe only be sent through the circuit board. So I actually don't know about that. So I think maybe just two of them actually make a connection. Yep. So only the 5-volt signal and the ground signal makes a actual connection. I don't know how this exactly works, the data signal, but I guess that's controlled by the main board. But so I guess you're just gonna have to rely on vision, just checking this one, the solder joints with your eyes for now. And you can actually check the functionality when you actually got the circuit board connected with power and this is connected to the circuit board. So next step would be to get some wires wired up to the start of this. So at the moment, so look at where it says, look at where the arrow is pointing. There's an arrow here and it's pointing that way. So that would be the power source, electronics board going that way. So we're going to connect 3 wires here. So give me a second. So this wire that I have, I use from what's it called, the RGB wire strips, RGB strip wire. I don't know. It's what you use to connect to the RGB lights. Now these are for RGB WW lights. So you only need around 5 to 7 centimeters, I believe. So just cut that off because the connection point is rather short. So one. So, and for the colors, I'm just going to use what is in my diagram for the circuit. So it's black, red, and green that we're going to use. And I'm just using those colors just for consistency to my diagram, so it doesn't confuse anyone. The color doesn't really matter. Now the colors, they do have very standard colors. Like ground would be black, and then voltage would be red, for example. It's like standards and stuff, but it doesn't matter too much because I'm not really following them. Because to be honest, I just like to use up which wire I have. I just want to get rid of them. So black, green, and red. So as you can see what I'm doing, I'm just stripping the front, the ends off. Just using my nail scissors. I'm doing a messy job of it though. Let's do it again. So the idea is not to actually cut the wire, just to strip it. And now get the soldering iron hot again. And then you want a tin. I think that's the right word. I keep getting the words wrong. The temperature is heating up. So get it on the green. Not on the green. Wait a second. So where are we here? Soldering iron is hot. And just put some tin or solder, whatever it is. Make it hot. Okay. And put some tin on the ends of the wires as well. An extra arm does help in this project, but I'm just going to do this like this unless I really need it. Okay, alright, so I've got them tinned, and then I'm going to look at my diagram. So the voltage is red. Actually, that is the conventional colors. So the voltage. Oh, I didn't get the red. Red is here, not white. White got white. Made a mistake. So once it's tinned, just cut off the excess, because you only need a very, very short wire. Oh yeah, I don't want this autofocusing, so let's put this in manual focus. Just gonna zoom in and check the focus quickly. There you go. See it right now. And so the red. I want to change the angle of this because I'm doing it kind of reverse, so I'll flip it. It's easier with my left hand. Like that, yeah. And you don't want to hold the soldering iron on these wires for too long because they do melt. Green is data. Okay, that's the unconventional light colors. Green is data. Is green data? Yeah, ground. Oh no, that is a conventional light colors. Yep. And then black to ground. See, they merged. You don't want that. Fucked up here. Get excess solder off if there is any. Merge them again. I'm in trouble a bit. Made that thing a bit too short. What is going on with this? This is giving me a bit of trouble. I'm gonna just cut it down a bit. Okay, that's excessively long. Trim it down a little bit. There's like no tin there at all. Need way more. Oh, for God's sake, merge them again. That's what I'm saying. It's such a fine. The strip is so thin. Okay, I've got extra solder again. Repeat. But after the strip is done, the working pieces get a bit bigger. So it gets a bit easier. Okay. Yep, these look good. So now I'm just going to trim them so they're all the same length. And you can just check again with the continuity meter on not continuity meter, on the voltmeter. Check for continuity to the ground. Yep, all good. And the red to voltage. Yep, all good. And check the other contact points, nothing, which is good. And the data, I assume, won't do anything because that is required. That requires the chip. But here there is connection, which is good. Moving on. Turn the soldering iron off.